time now for perspective. In July 2019, Rami Shaath, a well-known Palestinian-Egyptian activist, was arrested in Cairo, and he's been in detention ever since. According to Amnesty International and his wife, he is a prisoner of conscience. Last year, he was also added to an Egyptian terrorist list, but still, there has been no trial. Over the past 20 months, his wife, Céline Lebrun Shaath, has only had limited contact with her husband, but last month she was able to see him in person for the first time since his detention, and she joins me now on set. Thank you so much for coming in to speak to us here on France 24 today. Firstly, how is your husband doing? You saw him for the first time in months, just weeks ago.
Yes, so I was able to make sure that he is in good health and high spirit. Obviously, I'm not going to lie, it's not easy to be in prison for no reason. Days are long, very long, but he's keeping strong.
And can you tell us a bit more about the sorts of conditions he's been detained in?
Very, very tough, inhuman conditions. He is held in a 240 square feet with about 10 other cellmates, literally sleeping on the floor because there is no space for beds, on blankets. It's very hard. Since last March, detergent products have been banned in the middle of a pandemic, so raising also concerns for the sanitary conditions in the cell and the prison.
Now, in the past 20 months of his detention, you've only managed to speak to him a few times. Why is it that your contact, do you think, has been limited to that extent?
I don't know. I've been able to speak to him twice exactly over 19 months, and only last month I was able to visit him for about 10 days. I was allowed to go to Cairo, and I was able to see him 3 times for 45 minutes each, which is very, very, very tough. But I want to say also that actually all families have very limited contact with their loved ones in prison. Today, they are allowed only a 20 minutes visit every month, which is very tough. No phone calls are allowed between the families and the detainees. So these are very tough conditions.
And what is it exactly that authorities are accusing your husband of?
So as we're seeing with all political activists, opponents, it's the same cocktail of false accusations that are brought against them. So belonging to a terrorist organization, spreading false news. Unfortunately, this has been denounced by many, including the UN, this misuse of counter-terrorism powers and legislations to target peaceful and legitimate form of political activities.
And what about legal proceedings? Has your husband had the chance to prove his innocence in court?
Not at all. So since his arrest on July 2019, he's been in remand detention that's almost automatically renewed. First it was every 15 days, now it's every 45 days. He hasn't really been given proper chance to defend himself. To this day, we still haven't seen the file according to which is being detained. So we don't know what are those accusations based on, and we can defend ourselves. Sometimes Rami does not even attend the hearing in which this detention is renewed. Sometimes his lawyer cannot even speak and present his defense. So what we're seeing is a parody of justice.
And am I right in thinking that a possibly important date is coming up in his case?
Exactly. So next week, on March 10th, we're expecting 2 important things. So the 22nd hearing for the renewal of his detention, 22nd. Do you realize in 20 months, it's huge. And all this for what? Nothing. So that's one thing. And we're really hoping to see Rami released this time. The second important thing coming up on March 10th, it's the decision in the appeal we made against the decision to add Rami, the abusive decision to add Rami to the terrorist list that happened last year. So Rami and former parliamentarian Ziad Al-Alimi were added to the terrorist list in the absence of their lawyers. we appealed this decision, and we're expecting the result on March 10th.
Now, Egyptian President al-Sisi made a state visit to France at the end of last year, and French President Emmanuel Macron was widely criticised for what many thought was his decision to sideline human rights abuses in favour of building economic ties between the two countries. What did you make of Sisi's visit to Paris?
First, I have to say, the issue of political prisoners was all over the media, and the case of my husband in particular. So this is for me very important, and I hope the Egyptian president heard this message and that we will see releases soon. Unfortunately, and even though Emmanuel Macron raised the case of my husband in a press conference with President El-Sisi, I was very disappointed. We were all very disappointed to hear that France will not condition its strategic partnership to human rights, and that's very sad. And when last month I hear the French Minister of Foreign Affairs, Le Drian, saying that impunity for those who commit human rights violations is terrible and sends a very disastrous signal, well, I'm asking questions. What was this visit in December, and the all honors that were given while my husband is still in jail today?
Céline Lebrun Shaath, I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on France 24, and best of luck with your husband's case.